Florida State with a convincing win against Georgia Tech, dominating on offense, dominating on defense, but still had some struggles early on in the first quarter. Does it concern you at this point that Florida State still has not played a complete game from start to finish? It has not had a game where there's been at least one quarter of, we're still making mistakes. Does that concern you with what lies ahead in the month of November, 2 rivalry games and the Syracuse game on the road?
A little bit, but mainly, I just look at it this. They're still trying to find cohesion. There's still a lot of players or parts that are still very new. But what's uplifting about this game is that it seems like everybody's coming together at the right time. It seems like everybody's getting healthy, and we should be able to see the first time Florida State's been this healthy since beginning of LSU game.
I agree. The health part is huge. And I think, too, what was wild to me is seeing Fabo get that many snaps, most snaps on defense. What in the world, man? I mean, he's definitely pushing to get the bag and everything, but I just thought it was great to see him out there playing as much as he did, and he's going to play better than he did last week. You get that rust, and I'm sure James can talk about him more as being a player on the field and going through injuries, but you get that first game, you get the rust. He hadn't played since friggin' LSU, man. I think that you're going to see a better performance out of him. Rivalry game. Florida State did a really good job of getting pressure on Tyler Van Dyke last year. He's going to play a big-time impact in that tandem with Robert Cooper on the side. Those two just feed off of one another when they're out there on the field. So I'm expecting a better performance from Fabo. And not like he had a horrid performance, but in big games you rely on big players, and that's Fabian Lovett.
My question for both of you guys is looking at the stats right now. Trey Benson, 18 carries, 111 yards. Toafili surprised me, but both 13 carries for 70 yards rushing and 5 receptions for 84 yards, including that big 62-yard touchdown reception. With him playing, if he can step up and continue to play that game, if Trey Benson can have a 100-yard game, how would you, and obviously Mike Norvell has said right now that Treshaun Ward is progressing towards playing. How would you, James, use Treshaun Ward in this offense for the Miami game with this being his first game back? Should he play?
I mean, I think everybody should play. I would first start off with Trey Benson, get the feel of the game. But what Treshaun Ward provides you is a patient runner that knows how to run the offense a little bit better. When you don't have Jordan Travis, for whatever reason, not utilizing his legs in the RPO, you need a guy like Treshaun Ward that's going to be able to let the holes develop and then be able to set things up. But I think you got to figure out the best way to work all of them in. Trey Benson, I don't think needs to have all the carries. I also am not the biggest fan of Toafili in the backfield. I think mixing him up, though, playing him and letting him run routes, letting him be able to do all these different things, I think that definitely helps out a little bit more. But I think anybody that you have that's somewhat healthy, it's all hands on deck. Funny story. When Miami came up to Tallahassee and beat FSU convincingly, and that was Willie Taggart's last game, Cam Akers didn't play. I remember talking about, if it were me, if that was Cam Akers' last game, it's going to be Cam Akers' last game. I'm not getting fired by not running Cam Akers. And it ended up being to the detriment. But if we got to win, the biggest thing is you got to come out of here with a victory. Whether it's a blowout, whether it's a close game, doesn't matter. It's got to be a W. And I think if Treshaun Ward definitely helps with that.
First of all, I didn't know that Mark was such a homer for us, but apparently the fans think Mark is a Florida State homer.
I come on here and I tell the truth. That's my role. I tell the truth. I'm neutral. I just cut it straight. I tell the truth. I provide my information and knowledge. And right now, it's that even though Florida State's 5-3 and Miami's 4-4, there's no comparison between the level of play that these two teams have put on the field. Florida State plays the most difficult schedule in the ACC, and they've played the likes of Wake Forest, Clemson, North Carolina State. Sure, they didn't win the games, but they've played them capably. They have shown that they belong on the field with those teams. They also beat LSU, who's now ranked in the top 10 in the college football playoff selection rankings, which I don't put a whole lot of credence in, but I put more stake in my rankings, and I've got LSU in the top 10. So Florida State beat them. And Miami's played the likes of Virginia Tech, Southern. The schedules aren't even comparable, and Miami hasn't played a good game yet.